Hey guys, 624 Dudley, g'day. Craig, hello. Mark Osborne, hello. Stuart, g'day. Dan Shegg, g'day. There's a new video from Craig on his update channel, I believe. Peter Noddle, g'day. It's warm. It's warm here. It stopped raining for a bit. It's probably going to start again and rain all night, or it's probably going to start again at about 6:30 in the morning when I've got to go to work in it. Fairly unimpressed about the rain. We've had about 120 mil to now since this time yesterday, so that's kind of wet. Dampish. It's on its way to being damp, so not as much of a problem here. I can still get home and stuff. There was message from Dan shared earlier that said he's stuck in town because the bridges, the rivers flooded. David Bellani, g'day. Dan, update on the river situation. Who else has got water problems? Still pouring at Coffs Harbour. There you go. It stopped here for a bit, but it did have a downpour on the way home, so I was late coming home. Late getting the stream, trying to revive my computer because every time the Windows updates at the moment are a pain. So there you go. New video from Hey John. Middle of the night. You guys are awesome. Dan, you can say what you like here. No one listens. No one pays any attention. I'm expecting the downpour to start again. I don't know if anyone got the wheelie bins in or anything. But apart from that, yeah, it's a bit late starting because my computer's dead. And that's where we are. So there we go. It's pretty miserable here. I got wet. I smelled like a wet dog, to be honest. Probably going to go and have a shower and wash my hair at some point. Anyway, been messing with this little engine. That's kind of what I've done this weekend, off and on, between paying jobs and things. Not as many paying jobs, but there's a few. This cab's a work in progress. It's not ideal yet. I don't know whether I'm going to scratch it and do it again, or whether I'm actually going to leave it like this, or whether... Honestly don't know. Don't know if I like it or not, to be honest. It's red. I'll give it that. This is still wet. Paint's still wet on this, so probably dry by the end of the week. Put another piece in here too, just to screw the roof down. But I've got to leave gaps in here so that I can get these screws through the bottom. which is what hold the cab down here. There's 4mm screws there. This seems to be, which is a bit of a nuisance. It seems to be not entirely in the middle for some reason, which I'm not all that impressed about. Not sure why that is. And I'm not even sure that it's actually the problem with this one isn't quite in the middle for some reason. And because of that, this touches on that rivet, which I was very careful to try and miss. So see what I can do about that. It's sort of all a particularly sort of haphazard sort of a thing. It's really only eye sweet and not even much of that. These are 3D printed. This is plywood. There comes the rain. It's happening. These rings in here are plastic, and they're probably at some point going to come out and mob brass ones in, which will be nice, I think. It needs a headlamp here somewhere. Don't know what it needs really. Still thinking about that. It could do with some controls and probably like a fence and a seat in here or something like that. Just some details. This needs painting. But this goes the other way around. Now we've turned that round. This bench needs cleaning again, which means I've probably actually done some work. Still a bit quick, so I could do with a bit more weight, to be honest. But we'll see how we go with that. And we need some method of actually reversing it and making it go forward. So that's something we've got to do too. Probably it's going to be like a foot plate lever or something. I don't know. Probably a lever out here would be nice. I don't know. Anyway, sort of happening as it goes. Yeah, I was trying not to do that, Dudley. I was really trying not to have that happen, but it is a bit like that. So we'll see how we go. To be honest, it'd probably be nice with a half cab. Like a spectacle plate like this out of tin even, with a fold on each side. Maybe that's another option going forward before I screw all this down. Don't know yet. This may not be the final look of this cab, but it's coming together all right, and it might be a pretty nice little loco maybe, with enough time and energy put into it. I think the red's probably a bit bright and the roof's a bit dark, a bit light. Anyway, I actually went shopping this weekend and bought 2 rattle cans of paint. And a box of self-tappers, little fellas, 2-gauge stainless self-tappers to put things together. And 2 $3 sheet paintbrushes. These aren't too bad actually for the money. Throwaway jobs. Didn't paint that with it, but there you go. And some bolts. Over here on the welding table, what I was going to do probably is screw one of these in each corner, like with a bolt through this plate here, to give it 50 mil or so upright, give it a bit more height. And then I was going to get a sheet of plate to go between them, put these countersink bolts down through the top so it's flush. And that way, might make a good welding table. So that was the thoughts there. They're honestly, those brushes are not much good for clearing chips, to be honest, because they don't like being hot and they tend to fall apart. But put an undercoat on there, all right. So that's another work in progress. So need a sheet of plate for this. If anyone on the Gold Coast has got a sheet of plate about 550, 600 by 750, hit me up, hit me up. Um, 12 mil probably would be stiff enough, something like that. Between 10 and 16, something like that. Hey, Stephen, did you miss anything important? No, not really. Bill obviously didn't make it to live stream, and we're going to say that Bill's got a new video up. If you're interested in Australian wildlife, it's quite well shot, good little short video. It's worth a look. Not a lot of information with it, but he might update that at some point. Good video. Who else? I didn't see anything from Dan Shed. I'm guessing there was an update that he filmed. I'm not sure what happened with that. Probably hasn't been back to the workshop. But I believe that there's Sawmill's got half a roof on it, so pretty exciting. What else? I was on ARW discussion on Sunday with who else? Bruce and Max and who else was there? Me and Presso and Gary from Eccentric Engineering. There's a fire in Cliff Shed. There was a video about it. Yeah, be careful of that. This is all mostly concrete, concrete walls and things. So I don't know if much would actually burn as such, but we'll try not to catch things on fire. And Creasy too. Creasy was on there too. That was the one I was trying to think of. And Matty. So there's a few of us. There was 9, I think. So quite a collection. As usual, I didn't get a word in edgeways. Everyone talks too much. John and Max were talking too much, but it's all good because it's good to hear some feedback from those guys. Thanks, Craig. There's a lot of other good Australian creators that might need a turn next time, and I've given the appropriate authorities their numbers and phone emails and things, so expect another email at some point. Me and John can't be sort of covering you every time. What else? What else? I did a repair job on my glasses. I need new glasses at some point. It might happen at some point because that's as far as I'm going to actually go. But this was on Saturday morning. Saturday morning I polished my glasses or whatever I did. Crazy, that's spot on, yeah. Me either. And they snapped through the middle. Here, on the edge here. See that? Wasn't impressed with that. So I just set them up and put a tiny bit of silver solder flux on them and run a bit of 45% silver in there. Can you actually see that? No, not hope. Don't know if I can make that focus there. There we go. So I silver soldered these up and you can struggling to hardly even see. But in the midst of putting them all back together, because these are plastic, I took them out and put them back together and managed to get this one on this side and this one on this side, which messed me up for about 2 hours until I went to the optometrist and checked my script. So I'm pretty impressed with the repair, but it would have been a much more swimmingly better day if I'd got the lenses the right way around. It's all hustle, yep. These are past ultrasonic, really. This one gets well, either eye, but this eye in particular gets a loop on it 24/7, or all day at work there's a loop against this one. So unfortunately this one gets scratched up around the outside. And that's a problem as time goes on. So they're really, the coating's gone and they won't polish, but I need a new pair. It'll happen at some point in the next month or so. Hey, Raymond. Very interesting to see. It would have been more interesting to actually see a look around Gary's workshop, because I'm really disappointed that there wasn't a bit more space for that, because he's got some cool stuff. I guess you probably nearly describe Gary at Eccentric Engineering as Australia's Tom Lipton. I could put him in ultrasonic at work too, Dan. That could happen, but they're past it. I could just go across the street to the optometrist and get them to do it too. But anyway, come to that, I could put the ultrasonic on the bench and do them here, but it hasn't happened yet. So that's where we're at. Yeah, it was a pretty quick walk around. I reckon if I went and saw him, I could spend 3 days looking in cupboards, to be honest. He's got some awesome stuff. If you follow his Instagram at Eccentric Engineering, it's well worth a look. I have an optometrist that owes me a favour, so my glasses probably won't be that much. But they are getting expensive. Everything's getting expensive now, is the problem. Anyway. If Bruce is going to get rid of the big gear and retire, to be honest, he might need to hustle a bit harder. But anyway. I should get sorted so that I can actually have a guest on live stream. That's where I'm at, and it's what I'd like to do, but it hasn't actually at this point happened. It will at some point. I'd hope to have it sorted by now, and I did promise that, but it hasn't yet. So apologies for just putting up with me. I feel a bit bad about going in the optometrist and asking for a script and then asking for it back so I can get it somewhere else when they're bulk billing them so that they can sell me glasses. But I probably shouldn't, but there we go. Sat down and got a box of taps out to tap these in the floor. These four here, which is all very well. There's a tap here somewhere that belongs in this box. I probably shouldn't get it mixed up because it's going to be a hell if I do. Because I got these out and thought, I'll just tap them in M3 by 0.5, which is standard size. Got this box out of the cupboard or out of the M3 box. And these are actually M3 by 0.6, which is coarse thread. Anyway, they're a pretty tight fit in there, but they go in, so they ain't going to come loose. But trap, if you've got more than one set of M3 taps, they're a bit coarser rather than a bit finer. Oh my gosh. Tea and biscuits. How long do taps usually last? And how long do you know when they're blunt and need replacing? Good question. When they stop cutting? Depends what you're cutting with them and how they're looked after. I've got old taps here that are all right for some things, but nice new sets a whole lot better. I'm not sure there's 300 to 500%. I would say that markup on glasses is probably about the same as any other retail, which is probably about 300% on the frames, and then there's no labour costs. So that's kind of how it works. We do that too, but you're paying for a service. You can do it yourself if you think you're worth, if you think you're any good at it, but we'll fix it when you stuff it up too without any problems. But old taps can be pretty ordinary. I've got a lot of old taps, especially imperial sizes, because they can't really afford new ones. But it's a whole lot easier to tap a hole with a new tap, and I'm a bit spoiled for good taps, so lots of different ones. Just about every metric size and just about every BA size, and quite a lot of imperial stuff that I'll never ever use, probably. M12 die, 2-inch button die and a 2-inch button die holder with long arms. You should be able to turn it all right. But in a little button die holder, M12 is pretty hard work on a die. If you're cutting M12 threads, this is probably about what you want. Minimum. Don't want anything much smaller than that in the handles. That'll cut an M12 thread with reasonable sort of job. But messing around with anything much smaller than that, you're asking for trouble. Not only that, you're putting too much strain on a little die, and you'll end up busting the die if you work too hard at it. But a 2-inch button die is sort of about what you should be. 50mm button die is about what you should be using and buying for if you're going to be cutting too many M12 threads. Look, don't buy a new one of these. I'm sort of a big fan of this, right? I don't, kind of lucky. You probably can get a new one of these, but you probably can't too, from what I've ever seen. I've got 1.5-inch ones brand new. And I've got an 1-inch one that's new. Now, this has been 1.5-inch one. It's a bit weedy anyway for most things. It's good for up to about, it's probably good for 10mm at a pinch. I think that's an 8 in there. And that's an M10 in there. That's probably a bit, that's pushing it a bit. But this is only sort of a cast alum, cast metal of some sort. And it's pretty ordinary. No weight in it, no body in it, and it's not a big fan. There's that one too, which is for inch button dies, which is a very similar thing. Dies don't fit properly and they're always loose, and just not a huge fan. Handles come unscrewed all the time. They want lock tightening before you do anything. And these stupid little screws want, they're not so bad, but mostly they want changing out for something decent. This one here I bought when I was in trade school, probably, right? Never ever managed to swap the screws out. It's pretty poor. It really is Allen key heads would be good in that, or even some more of these. But this is a Sutton, I think. The handles don't come unscrewed because this is all one piece. And that's pretty decent button die holder, that one. But I've got a heap of these. This one here is P&N or Sutton. I think it's P&N probably, from years and years and years ago. This is a pretty good one. These little screws have lasted because they're half decent quality to start with. So they're probably all right. This is also one-piece forging or casting. And this is the one I would use for preference over the others. If you can get one at a car boot sale, this is probably a better tool than anything you're going to buy new. These ones here are 7/8. Is that right? I think they're 7/8 button dies, 22mm. Little fellas. That one's got the same red paint on it originally. And it's made the same. I reckon that's probably P&N or something. And that's a new one, which is about 1/4 of the weight. Handles probably a cast into that one, so they won't come unscrewed, but there's no knurling on them. They're sort of, they're average. So there you go. Hey, Mike from Cornwall, good day. For the same account, sorry guys, this place should have been tidied up. There's a heap of these too. This is a nice little tap wrench. However, it's not as useful as it could be because it only goes down to about, what, 3/16, 5/32, something like that, 4 mil. So for most small taps, this is not really a go-to at all. So not much help with anything. Don't know where that one come from. Probably from Bar Z Swap Meet, maybe. No one else wanted it. This one was probably one of Dad's. This is an Eclipse. This is a pretty nice one. These have both got like steps on the end with a ball bearing in here so that they click together and don't come off the end and don't slip backwards and forwards. That's a fairly big tap wrench, but same deal. It only goes down to about 1/4 inch, a bit bigger. This one is a Ratchet Jobby. This was bought off Tom Lipton, I know that. It's an American one. It's got a central position here where it locks. And it's ratchets both ways with this little lever here. It's a good solid thing, but setting it and resetting it and moving it's pretty good. It is a bit of a pain. And same deal, it's sort of got 3 positions there, but you've got to turn this to match it. So it slides there and then you turn it into position, it locks. Nicely finished thing, still a really big tap wrench, and that only closes down to what, same size as the other one. But this lever lets it down a bit. This one's Dad's. This is an Eclipse, I think. No, it's German. It says Hermes 596. I don't know what that is. But this is a nice tap wrench, this. I know Eclipse make one. I'm not sure it is quite as nice. But it goes down reasonably small with 2 jaws. It's got a nice feel to it. It's got the same deal. It's got lock and T-bar. And it's got a little lever on the side here. So that's nice and easy to use. Because the trouble is, when you tap a hole, you get to the bottom, and not even before you get to the bottom, you've got to reverse out. So you've got to be able to, like, change it pretty quickly. Messing around with this is a real pain. This is a Eclipse, I think, probably. Honestly, got no idea. I reckon it probably is Eclipse. It's engraved someone's name on there. Don't know whose. This is a nice tap wrench because it goes down to about 332, bit bigger than 332. So it'll hold a tap that's 1/8. And it's got nice smooth action, nice jaws. It's got actual jaws running on a taper rather than just 4 bits of metal that compress when you screw it down. That's pretty nice. So that one's a score. This one's the same. It's got 4. This one's not the same. This one's got basically it's got 4 cuts into it's a pretty simple thing. You can make one pretty easy. This is a Stewart, which is English one. And this was Dad's for years, but this is a fixed T-bar in this one too. It's actually on a knurl, so I don't think it moves backwards and forwards. Not a bad little tap wrench, but if you've got this one and this one side by side, get this one. It's a better tap wrench with that style of jaw. This is another one that probably matches the other one. Is this a Stewart as well? No, it's got more modern sort of writing on there. Are we back? Sorry about that. Something's dropped out there. Anyway, we're back, I think. This has got 2 jaws on a taper. They've got a spring between there. See that spring? Holds the jaws apart, and they just go in a slot there. And there's a taper inside here that squashes them in as it pushes in. So if we line this up carefully, it shouldn't all fall apart. There we go. And that squashes in there like that. But that's a bigger brother of the other one. They're fairly nice. I don't know where they're made. This one's... Don't know where this come from. I reckon it come from a swap meet in America somewhere. Got no idea where. It's a different style again. This has actually got 2 spring-loaded jaws, which are pinned in and hinge there. And then when you screw this down, it screws them on a taper on the front and locks them in place. It's not a bad little tap wrench, but the same deal. It doesn't close up big enough, small enough to be decent in that size. This one is old P&N. They're around, and they're a pretty good tap wrench, right? This one. There's P&N's an Australian company, and they're pretty good. They've got replaceable jaws if you need to. You take that screw out, and this piece comes out as well. But I think they're on sort of a double thread there, so that you get twice the movement when you've only got to turn it about a turn to move it a fair bit of space. Yeah, true, but a small tap wrench with a big socket's just hard work. That's where we're at with that. This one was my grandfather's. It goes with the other big one in a wooden box. And this one's a P&N too. Same deal. Probably written on there. P&N in Australia, number 6. So that's a fairly nice tap wrench as well. But go round the car boot sales and buy yourself some decent vintage tap wrenches, because they'll be kind of... And then, I mean, if you've got to sit down and clean these up and get them tidy, give them a dress up or set them up in the mill or grind them or whatever to make them work, you've got a better tool than a modern one. So that's my idea about tap wrenches. This is a good style because this is a whole lot easier to get straight, in my opinion. This is what I think. These are all right for cleaning out holes, but this is, if you're going to tap holes in a steel plate without too many guides or anything, this is a better thing. And in the lathe too, this is probably a better thing. Good tap wrench. Anyway, there's my tap wrench collection, some of it. I don't think it's all of it, to be honest. Now I've got stuff to put away again. I did already. I don't think that's all of them. I think there's probably still half a dozen more put away somewhere, but they're the ones that are in the drawer and I use pretty regularly. No one really needs, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 wrenches. But anyway. they tend to accumulate, and that's all very well. There's another one there too. It's got 8BA tap in it. That's a nice little P&N one out of my set. It's really nice. P&N make good stuff in Sutton in Australia. Or they used to. It's got a little hole for a Tommy bar. Tighten it up. Not that you ever really need it. And that's a nice thing. Probably not a bad little project either. Yes, we do, Stephen. That's right. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I actually made a heap of these, a little bit bigger than this one actually, for What's in Your Box giveaway. Didn't end up as many of them as I started, to be honest, because it's a bit of a job to do these, make them up. But got them done. And occasionally I get a notification on Facebook that someone's actually using them, which is pretty awesome. Anyway, someone else start me off on a tangent with a stupid question. Come on. You know you can do it. Do dolphins live in rivers? Good question. I'm still looking for the dolphins in the video you sent, and I'm suspicious that what sort of organic fertilizer they use on the mushrooms down your way are it's good stuff anyway. Single point threading grinding tools. Hello. Yeah, it's that one over there. This is it. Paul, I'll show you in a minute. Also in that drawer over there is two of these, which are automatic centre punches. Now, neither of these are much good. If anyone knows anyone who makes a decent automatic centre punch, hit me up. Yeah, it was only... I had to talk him out of getting in the water, to be honest. For breaking windows, that's exactly right. It's good for car windows. Yeah, silver soldering. Who had a good video on silver soldering recently? I saw a really good video on doing small silver soldering jobs. Gosh, who was it? Pretty well had it sorted. In about 3 sentences. Silver soldering, it's fun. Basically, put your flux on and wait till it runs clear, and then put your solder on. That's kind of O1 silver solder. If you haven't got enough heat to make the solder run clear, get some more heat. And if you've got too much, cool it down, clean it up, put some flux on again and start again. That's where we're at. You don't need much flux. See you, Kevin. Good to see you. If flux doesn't look like water, don't add solder. That's exactly right. Might have been Blondie Hacks had a video on silver. Oh, well, Blondie Hacks has had a mixed sort of a video on silver soldering recently. I think she's getting better, but don't know how much better. I don't think it was Keith Appleton. I can't handle Keith Appleton lately. He's produced a lot of videos about the same thing, and most of it's watching paint dry. I shouldn't say that, but good silver solder work it's a bit of a skill, but it's worth learning and it's worth practicing to do. Someone said single point thread cutting machinery, single point thread cutting sharpening equipment. This is what you need. This is the answer. This is a Chinese knockoff, which is probably not perfect, but this is where it's at. Get one of these, get some accessories for it. It's repeatable, it's awesome. If you're doing a job and you've just touched up a tool and then you've got to come back to it, you can do it again. Don't even have to take the tool out of the tool holder to do it. Just run him through, clean up one side again at the same angle and start again. Keith's got a lot of information there, but yeah, D-bit grinder's the answer. I mean, tool and cutter grinder is probably really the answer, but this has got enough gear to single point cut and single point cut tool sharpen and all those sort of things without being too much of a pain in the neck once you get it set up. It's also a fairly messy machine, as you can see. It gets vacuumed regularly, but it is dirty. But mine actually gets a fair bit of use, fairly useful thing. And save all your old carbide end bills for it. Unless you like Stefan. I think it was Stefan had a video on silver soldering this week. Yes, he did. That's the one I saw anyway. And that was pretty concise. There you go. And I say we're not all like him and got a set of, 12-inch bar of water-cooled 10mm solid carbide. How do you know if the angle is correct? Set him up straight and then there's an angle on here. So you can basically, once you got him set and got your kick over, your clearance angles all set, you can just set him at 30 degrees either way, or you can flip it over and do the other side, and then it's got to be right. But the machine has accurate graduations, that's correct. I don't know, this is probably one of the best things I ever bought, to be honest. And do some pretty nice work with this. There's a cutter in my bag. I wonder where my bag is. Any idea where my work bag is? Hang on, I'll be back. I'll find my work bag. I made this for a guy on Facebook who was just down the road, and it must have been very important because he didn't bother coming and getting it. So obviously, yeah, at least there wasn't too many hours working it. But this is a 30-degree dovetail cutter. There we go. And carbide. Plastic on there. It's got enough clearance this way. What have we got? A bit of paper would be handy or something. Sorry guys. Let's try with the JB Weld packet. There we go. It's got enough clearance that way, and it's got enough clearance back. And it's cut in half exactly. So that's a nice little, that's just a bit of 10mm. Solid carbide that had laying about, it's a broken tap or something. But nice cutter, took about an hour to make. Certainly probably nearly as good. This has some issues. Don't let Craig tell you that the Chinese one's perfect either. There are some issues with this. It's not bad. Absolutely, and it does most things. It's a bit more messing around than a decal to set up, because there are some features that the book says it's got, which it hasn't actually got. It doesn't have the red dot indicator to get your D bits 90 degrees out. That's a bit of a nuisance with it, and you've got to work around that, and it's not a big deal, but no one on a YouTube video or anywhere will really just explain that to you. So you've got the book, but the book's actually a 3 times translation of the decal book, and it doesn't really pertain to this grinder in that sense. The other thing is that I bought a second manual for my other grinding wheel, which is all very well, right, off here in Forbes, which is awesome. And I thought, well, I'm going to just change these over. Last time I changed the wheel over, I'm just going to put this on, and this is on taper, so you just loosen this off, and then it pops off the taper, and you can change the wheel over without disturbing the balance, which is awesome. This is a different size to the one that's on there, so that's the interesting thing. That's the one that was listed for it. It doesn't fit. Hey, Chirpy. Craig, yeah, there is an arm that goes in here that helps you line them up, but that only lines them up vertical, which isn't particularly useful when you want to put your clearance on the back of a cutter, because really you want 90 degrees. So the red dot on a decal lets you set your tool up at 90 degrees to where your actual index system is in here. So we'll let this back a bit so you can see, but there's an index system in here which is on this pin. That's right round. There we go. So if you set it up that way, that's okay, but it doesn't give you the 90 degrees to 90 degrees, which you really need when you're sharpening a D bit. You flip me on the... When I sit down and sharpen D bits, I discover that this is inadequate. So what you should be able to do is set that at 90 degrees and lock the spindle, and then set that up perpendicular, and then this here should work at 90 degrees to 270 degrees instead of 0 degrees to 180 degrees, and that should put your, with your clearance or your rake angle on here, that should put your clearance around the outside of the cutter, but it doesn't quite work like that. So there we go. You can line it up vertically with a marker, which is probably good enough, but you would be better having either a book set up for this or having this the same as the book says, which is the same as the decal one, which has actually got the red dot in here, so that you can do that. Maybe hey Frank. Anyway, maybe I'm overlooking things. I've hit up a lot of friends about this and how to make it work. And everyone I talk to has the same machine, has the same problems compared to the decal. So it's not even really a whingy problem, but if you're sharpening a lot of D bits, it'd get old pretty quick, I reckon. Anyway, apart from that, it's an awesome machine, and once you get used to those little quirks, it's excellent. Not bad mouthing it really at all. It's just that someone could have taken some time and actually got the right manual for this machine. Would have helped. Anyway, I love it, and it gets used pretty regular. Could do with a clean. Anyway, my battery is probably going to go flat. We've stuck this for an hour, which is about... yeah, build quality is good. It's quiet. It's a pretty good machine. It's got a half decent light, which is LED. It's a nice, quiet machine. Anyway, I'm a bit of a fan. I am a bit of a fan of that. It could be... There could have been a bit more thought going into it from someone who actually has used one before they were imported, but that obviously didn't happen. I look forward to some videos from Sherpy. I saw some forging from him. There's a link. There actually is a link down in the channel to Discord if you want to go and hit us up and have a chat. I did actually put a link there now, which is awesome this week. I'm pretty organised. No, not really. But take care, and I'm going to say I'm done. Catch you on the flip side. Appreciate everyone who tunes in and everyone who says hi. If you want something to do after live stream, click on any of the creators in this live stream and go and see if they've got any videos, because they've all got awesome stuff usually. Anyway, take care, except for Dan, who's still waiting for updates. we'll catch you all, and be kind to each other, eh?